Hello, ladies and gents. Happy Friday and welcome back to Torch Sports. So glad you could join us for a second week. I'm Jeremy Knopf II, joined once again by Patrick Falcon and Luke Lamery. And fresh off our trip to the ATL, it is Luke Tao back with us today. The first week of the 2025 college football season is in the books, and boy was it a wild one. We'll be recapping the Tennessee Volunteers' big opening win against the Syracuse Orange, what went right, what may need improvement, and what to expect when the East Tennessee State Buccaneers come to town. And later on in the show, we'll also be checking back into the Lady Vols' undefeated soccer streak, as well as the latest happenings with Big Orange volleyball. Gentlemen, without further ado, let's get right into it. The crowd of 40,000 plus in Mercedes-Benz Stadium witnessed a new era being ushered in for the Vols. The newly dubbed sheriff in town, Joey Aguilar, proved why he has earned the position of QB1, throwing for 247 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The Vols are also beginning to find their new running back duo with Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis, each running for a touchdown of their own. Additionally, the Volunteer defense proved their ground against Syracuse, highlighting the day with a scoop and score early in the first quarter, as well as an interception courtesy of junior linebacker Jeremiah Neyland. This victory over Syracuse has Tennessee ranked 22nd in the AP poll, heading into their first game inside of Neyland Stadium. So, gentlemen, before the season began, the addition of Joey Aguilar from Appalachian State, it sparked a lot of hype and even some uncertainty, but he surely shined in his Big Orange debut. And Luke Tao, you were at this game. You were covering this game with TVC, so you got to see these events unfold in front of your own eyes. What surprised you out of Aguilar's debut as a Volunteer?
I'll tell you what, shined is the perfect word to describe Aguilar's debut for the Vols. Being down there on the sidelines, you could tell that the Volunteer fans loved seeing their new quarterback one in action week one from the get-go and having a solid game. Throwing for 247 yards and 3 touchdowns is something that you didn't see a lot from the Tennessee Volunteers last year. There were only 3 games where a Tennessee quarterback threw for over 240 yards last year. And that's game number 1, what we're seeing out of what fans are seeing out of Joey Aguilar this season. And on top of that, 3 touchdowns as well. Again, only 3 games last season did a Tennessee Volunteer quarterback throw for 3 touchdowns. Again, first game.
It says it right there.
That's what you're looking to see from the Tennessee quarterback there. And that's got to instill confidence in both the players and the fans, because as a player, you see that your quarterback has the talent to do it. He goes out there week 1. He throws 247 yards, 3 touchdowns, lights it up out there. That's got to give you confidence to then go and do your job for him. But as a fan, that's just exciting to see.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you who's calm and confident. It's Joey Aguilar. I mean, he looked absolutely the most relaxed I think we've seen a quarterback in quite some time. I mean, he was so calm. He was relaxed in the pocket. He was going to look for his receivers, and if his receivers weren't there, he took off on his legs. And we saw Nico do that, but I don't think a whole lot of people were expecting Aguilar to move in the way that he did.
Not considered a mobile quarterback.
Not really at all.
Yeah.
And we saw him use his legs plenty, but he looked very calm, very confident. And I'll tell you what, I think at least right now, not to speak too soon, but he looks very confident in Josh Heupel's system.
Yeah, going back to that point, you said of being confident, even going back to last week, you said that it was going to be very uncomfortable for Aguilar to be in that situation, but he was very calm and he quieted down those nerves.
It stunned me. It really did stun me because he came out there and he looked natural for the ball.
And Heupel runs a fast offense too. Not a lot of quarterbacks can play in that system, but like you said, Aguilar seemed to thrive going fast. He wanted to get back to that line of scrimmage, get the next play going. He thrived going fast.
Hop in, Patrick. What?
Yeah,
yeah, we don't want to leave you out of this.
I think you guys hit on it. There was one hiccup the entire time with the offense. It was that fumble on that exchange that we couldn't really tell was that Aguilar's fault, was that the running back's fault. But I think the quote by Tennessee offense coordinator Joey Hazel says it. We want our guy to walk the line between being extremely aggressive but not reckless at all. And what stood out to me was not anything you said, but the 0 interceptions. He turned the ball over once kind of on that fumble, but 0 picks. He had 14 last year at App State. And he did it pushing the ball down all levels of the field. This Tennessee offense was running short passes, intermediate passes. He had that deep ball, oh my goodness, diagnose like a doctor, deliver like a midwife. He put it right in stride. That was beautiful right there.
Yeah, if there's anybody who's feeling the most confident in Joey Aguilar right now, it has got to be Josh Heupel. Very confident in his decision to have him at QB1. And I can't wait to see how he develops as the season goes on. But of course, it wasn't just Aguilar that made an impact in this game's outcome. For more on that, we're going to head over to the board right now with the play-by-play crew. Zach Pelfrey and Lucas Rice-Weber, break it down for us.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, so let's jump right into it right here. First play of the game from scrimmage. Aguilar looks, and he has a wide open slant from Mike Matthews right across. Very easy first down completion, easy sets the tone for the game.
middle.
Now we're going to go back to what they were just talking about for that deep ball, right? Aguilar loads up back in the pocket, finds Braylon Staley running behind the defense.
In stride.
In stride, gets the touchdown. Now I kind of want to go back to this play because there's something that not everybody saw. As Staley is running, you see his defender. He's looking for him to go for the go route. He's kind of turned to the outside. So Staley cuts on the inside right here, and he's beat his defender all day.
No, for sure.
Another play of Aguilar using his wheels. He doesn't see his receiver wide open right here. So what does he do? He rolls out of the pocket and finds his running back leaking in the end zone.
And he's able to apply pressure to that defense with his legs. And talking about pressure with the Vols defense, that's what they're known for. As we see Arion Carter fake downfield, burst through that B gap, explode on the quarterback. Now that's a loss of yards. That's a big sack for the Vols. Now talking about that pressure we have here. Defensive line moving in. Nathan Robinson breaks off of the offensive lineman, gets down on the ground. Colton Hood scoops and score. Give me 6 for the Vols. That's what we'd like to see. We put it up. And for the next play, we have Jordan Ross right on the corner there. Plays it, anticipates perfectly, takes the running back down. That's a loss of 5. No quarterback is going to be comfortable behind that Vols defensive line, and you can expect to see a lot of that come ETSU on Saturday. That's your play-by-play. Back to you, Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Lucas and Zach. Yeah, back to our discussion. Several more players finally got their chance to be in the national spotlight, and they did not disappoint. And Luke, there are so many players that stood out in this game that you can consider game changers that it could be really hard to pick one.
Well, I'm going to go with the guy that you saw in the play breakdown just there, Colton Hood, with that scoop and score touchdown that he had for the defense. Colton Hood's a guy who there was some question going into this game, who's going to fill the spot of Jermod McCoy? Because McCoy was a huge part of this team last year. And defensive back's an important position. There are a lot of talented wide receivers, especially on Syracuse. So who was going to fill that role was a big question going into this game. And you'll see it here with the scoop and score. Angeli rolls out of the pocket, fumbles the ball. Colton Hood picks it up and scores. This is his first year with Tennessee. That's got to instill some confidence for him getting a touchdown in his first game on the defensive side of the ball. But you also saw it with his pass breakups. Here, Angeli drops back, throws a deep one, and Colton Hood just easily breaks it up. And I love this celebration, too. Throw the hood on. Thumbs down. Love to see that, right? But Colton Hood, redshirt sophomore, first season with Tennessee, he leaned on Jermod McCoy a lot. And Zach and I saw that in the press conference after the game as well. He leaned on Jermod McCoy to show him the ropes, show him how this team works. But he led the team in pass breakups with 3, had 4 total tackles, and the defensive scoop and score. So he filled his role to perfection for this team.
I got to ask you, how loud was that stadium whenever that scoop and score occurred? I can't even imagine.
You know what, Jeremy? I'll tell you, it was loud. It's nothing like Neyland Stadium, though. Not nearly as loud as Neyland's going to be when all the fans are in there. You can't imagine, but it was very loud. A lot of Tennessee fans down there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, how about you, Luke Lavery?
I'm looking to start Thomas. I mean, we're looking at I think for the first time in several years that we're seeing this 3-headed monster again. I don't think anybody is expecting it right now because nobody really thought about Star Thomas at the start of this game. And we broke down so much last week. Star Thomas wasn't mentioned at all. We were talking about Peyton Lewis. We were talking about Deshaun Bishop. All of a sudden, here comes Star Thomas, and he's leading the game in rushing. I mean, he's got 92 yards on the ground. He gets that receiving touchdown. I mean, he's all over the place for this offense. He's a big guy. He's crafty. He's creative, but he's also really shifty, too. And that's something that I like to see out of my running backs. I like the guys that power through them, just run right through them. And sure, he gets stuffed a couple times here, working with the new offensive line. But let him just lower the shoulder. And, he might get a little rough and tough there, but I mean, look at that. I mean, he's just lower the shoulder and let him know. And that's what I really like about Star Thomas.
It's not often you see a running back that's big but also is quick.
Yeah.
That's
exactly
a dangerous
right.
combo.
That's exactly
and
right.
part of that advantage with that 3-headed monster is that he can lower that shoulder
Yeah.
because all 3 of the Vols running backs are fresh.
That depth.
Like you put Deshaun Bishop in for a quarter, you put Payne Lewis in for a quarter, then you kind of split carries at the end of the half. All 3 of them are fresh at the end. My guy, though, I'm going back to defense. I'm going with Italian. I'm going with Arion Carter. This was really his first game as the defensive cornerstone for the Vols. James Pierce Jr., Norman Lott left. They carried a lot of the last year. And even though Carter was the leading tackler, he was going to have to step up a lot. And he did. He had 9 tackles, and he had one of the sacks I've ever seen with that fake back, then went back through. Oh, my goodness, that was awesome. And the defense just played so well. And one thing I love about Arion Carter's game, you'll see in these clips here, is he never shies away from contact. He's always looking to lower the shoulder. And meaning we're at, just, bam! Right there. Just right there. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter who it is. Yassine Willis is a big running back. but he doesn't care. He's going for him, and Jelly's not escaping that. He's going to take him down no matter what. He's going to meet him where they're at.
How important is it to have a guy like Arion Carter, who's got the experience from being with the team last year, past couple of years, to then go lead the younger guys on the defense too?
It's so important.
We talked about how many holes to fill last week. I mean, this is a guy that we're seeing step up and fill in that role for the Vols.
Yeah, the big replacements for the Volunteers, but the defense that really stepped up. The offense looked pretty good in that game against Syracuse, but even though Tennessee prevailed in this season opener, that doesn't mean that they were exactly perfect or mistake-free over the entire 60 minutes. Several passes for the Vols ended up incomplete. Joey Aguilar did have a fumble late in the first quarter, and the team as a whole committed 7 penalties for 65 yards, in comparison to Syracuse's 4 penalties for 35. So this game looked very impressive to start off, but obviously they have a lot to improve. So how do you think that this squad is going to learn from their mistakes moving forward?
For me, it was the defense kind of falling asleep. And specifically the run defense. Only 2.3 yards per carry for Syracuse, but that includes Angeli's lost yards through sacks. So it was minus 27. So it's probably better than that. And what are you going to do when you face bigger D-lines? You know, are you going to let him put 3 touchdowns on you late? You've seen Willis is a great running back. He's a big guy. But 91 yards and 3 touchdowns, that's going to be a lot more when the Vols go play Georgia, when they have that big O-line up front, when they go play Oklahoma with Jaden Ott, when they have a mobile quarterback. I mean, what are John Mateer and DJ Lagway going to do against that defense if they can't even contain just the running back? So I think that needs to step up. Now, 21 players on defense registered to tackle. So I think a lot of it was the Vols wanting to show their depth, wanting to get guys in, wanting to not burn too many of their starters out in a game that was pretty out of reach. But still, I mean,
I think it's just. I think it comes down for the Vols. I think it's just discipline. I think you see the numbers up on the scoreboard if you're Tennessee, and you think, well, you know, let's go back to Neyland next week, and you start to regress a little bit. I don't think you can't do that. You can't do that. And I think it's just it comes down to a lack of discipline. You know, that last couple of drives for Syracuse, you saw let's see here, 3 4th-down conversions. You saw that, and you saw 3 long touchdown drives at the end of the game there for the Volunteers. You can't let that happen. I mean, I think it's just one of these things where maybe they got tired, but I think at the end of the day, it's that lack of grit at the end of the game when you see, well, we're up 21 points. Screw it. You know, let's rein it in a little bit.
there was a point at the end of the game where it wasn't super far towards the end. I think it was second half, maybe late third quarter, early fourth. Where's a 14-point game?
Yeah.
I mean, Syracuse gets a turnover.
that's exactly right.
They get a couple things going. Suddenly they're back in this game.
Yeah.
We can't. I mean, the Vols can't let that happen.
Heupel always says, play for 60 minutes. Take the fight to your opponent for 60 minutes, and that's important.
And it's a new team, and I think you're exactly right. I think they're starting to learn that.
100%. The biggest red flag that I saw from this team that needs to get fixed, and this is going to get you fired up because I know you talked about this a lot last year, are the penalties. The penalties are a huge issue for Tennessee. And if we look back at last season, Tennessee had 105 penalties over 13 games. That's the worst in the SEC. Only 5 FBS teams had more penalties than Tennessee last year. And those teams are South Alabama, San Diego State, New Mexico, UTSA, and SMU.
Some blue bloods up there.
That is
Come on.
awful.
Come on.
That is terrible.
Come on.
The penalties are just, not only are they momentum killers, but they're just game killers in general. You could be driving down the field, have the best drive of the game, a couple holding penalties set you back, and now you're back to square one, right? You settle for a field goal. You settle for a punt when you could have capitalized on that and you know, put together a really decent drive. So it's going to be really important for them to dial back those penalties this year because that gets them in trouble a lot.
It's just discipline. And I talk about this at this point every show. Fundamentals. Fundamentals.
Fundamental, yeah.
Here we go. Let's watch the ball when we're on the defensive line, if we're Tennessee. I mean, it really is how you coach your players. And I think nowadays, sometimes it's a little bit like, we can't be. If you're a coach, you can't be aggressive on your players.
It's a bit soft.
It's
Say the
I
S word.
will
It's a bit
say-
soft.
I will say it's a little soft. It's a little soft, and it's not just Tennessee. It's college football, and it's the new landscape. We're not going to get into that, but I'm just saying.
That's another discussion.
If you're Tennessee, get your players a little more disciplined this year.
That is absolutely right. And the big plays, you can make big plays, score big touchdowns, but going back to the penalties, if you commit too many of them, it can really come back to bite you.
100%.
But in this game, overall, it was an impressive performance from the Volunteers to start the season, but it is Syracuse. They're going to still have some areas of improvement whenever the Floridas, the Georgias, the Alabamas come around. But a great way to start the season, and this weekend especially will be a great time to get those issues corrected for the long run. When we get back, we're going to look ahead to tomorrow's matchup against the ETSU Buccaneers. And in the meantime, our own Delaney Leary took the ped walkway to ask you about your Tennessee hot takes.
Hey guys, today we're here at Student Union asking students what their Tennessee Athletics hot takes are. Do you have a Tennessee Athletics hot take?
Hot take for this campus, I think we'll probably lose to Georgia.
Ooh, let's see. Jordan Gainey may have been the best player on the squad last year.
Ooh, okay.
Sixth man of the year.
Ooh. Tennessee football, not even top 15.
Nah, Tennessee football, we're winning the Natty.
We're not winning the SEC championship. We haven't won in, 25 years now? Well, hopefully next year, not this year.
Next year.
Joey's winning Heisman this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tennessee Athletics hot take. Let me think. I think that football game should be free. And there shouldn't even be a lottery. Everyone who wants to go to a football game should just be able to go.
Football tickets should be free. I think we're going to beat Alabama this year.
I don't think we should be ranked the way that we are, especially being ranked worse than Alabama, even though they lost.
Why is it that by T credits, I'll have more T credits than somebody else and I won't get a football ticket?
Hot takes for Tennessee Athletics. I think Joey's going to be way better than everybody expects or expected.
Joey, Heisman finalist.
That's crazy. Hot take.
Those are our hot takes for the day. Be sure to follow us for more content. Delaney Leary, Torch Sports.
Welcome back to Torch Sports, everyone. The anticipation continues to build for the Volunteers' first game in Neyland Stadium this year, as they will square off against the ETSU Buccaneers in front of 102,000 strong this Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time. And standing right in front of Neyland Stadium right now is our own Alexi Cowan, soaking in what many would call the quiet before the storm. Alexi, what's it like down there?
What's up, boys? I'm here in front of Neyland Stadium where they're making their final preparations for the first home game of the 2025 season against ETSU. Now get this, if Tennessee wins this game, this will be Tennessee's 500th win at Neyland Stadium. So that'll be a big thing to celebrate. But it takes winning first, and they're going against ETSU, who had a really good start to their season. I mean, beating Murray State 45-17 in their home opener, and they have a really good QB. Cade McNamara from Michigan. So he kind of knows the offensive style from big schools that, we wouldn't think that ETSU would understand. So he's going to be a great asset for them in this game. So we're going to see how it goes. Me and Jeremy Knopf will be here tomorrow. All throughout the day, you can follow us on Instagram at Torch Sports UTK. We'll be giving you all the updates.
Thank you very much, Alexi. This will be just the second time that the Vols and the Bucks have squared off each other in football. And Joey Aguilar, also no stranger to facing ETSU. He put on a show in last year's season opener with Appalachian State when they played the Buccaneers. But this time around, he's facing a different quarterback. As Alexi mentioned, Cade McNamara, the senior out of Reno, Nevada. He has several years of playing experience at Big Ten schools, most notably the Michigan Wolverines and the Iowa Hawkeyes. So surely Cade McNamara has got a lot to bring to the table in this matchup.
You're right, he does. And the first thing that jumps to my mind when I look at what Cade McNamara is bringing to this game is just experience. This is his 6th year playing college football. And granted, he wasn't a starter for all those years, but experience is experience. And if you're in a college football system for 6 years, you're a seasoned vet at that point, right? And so he might not have the same weapons around him that Michigan and Iowa does. That's kind of clear. But he's played against a lot of good teams, and he's been in a lot of those tight matchups. And so he's bringing a lot of experience that the Vols are going to have to prepare for in this one.
I'm sorry.
You don't like that?
No, and I don't mind that. I'm just trying to formulate this. I think experience is just about what he brings, and it's I'm sorry, it's a really sad, it's sad because it's an injury-prone career for Cade McNamara, but I think that's really just it's all he has right now is experience, and he knows he had a great run with Michigan, but all I'm going to say is that ETSU looks uncomfortable with their quarterbacks. They've got 2 quarterbacks right now. And you talked a little bit about it. They trounced Murray State last week. They didn't use their quarterbacks barely at all. It was all the running backs. They 12 of 17 last week with 146 yards. That was McNamara. The other quarterback, he ran the ball. He barely even did anything. So it's just they look uncomfortable. I think Cade's uncomfortable. I don't think they even know what they're doing right now.
And to that point, anytime I see a 2-quarterback system, I always think back to last year with Kentucky. Because it's just like what's going on there? What's going on? Let's stick with one guy. Let's get him to run through. And it might be a little different with ETSU from Kentucky, but it's just not a great situation for anybody involved.
And it's sad. I think it's a little sad for me. I think it's just like we're looking at Cade McNamara, who was, he played for Michigan, he played for Iowa, and now he's ETSU. I'm sorry. Is that outrageous to say?
The Buccaneers have some fight in them. We're selling them a little short. They got some fight.
A little bit. I mean, it's a tough look for the Bucs right now, but and for Cade, I also had experience because that's you said it, Luke. That's just about what he brings. I mean, what he does bring for sure. He's a guy who did lead his team to the college football playoff. That can't be overlooked. Yeah. They got trounced, but he did lead them there with a run-heavy scheme, and that's kind of similar to what ETSU is doing. But I do agree with the two-quarterback system. You got to figure it out, man. You got to figure it. I mean, you're not giving one guy a chance. You're giving both of them like half of a chance. And then,
well, one of them doesn't even pass. I mean, it's just like, why is he even listed as a quarterback?
You might as well suit him as a running back. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's like Taysom Hill almost. Yeah. Like he's listed as a quarterback, but
throw him a tight end while we're at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you all mentioned the two quarterback system that ETU's been using. The other quarterback in question, Jacoby Criswell, we've seen a little bit from him in that game against Murray State, but most of the time it is Cade McNamara. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that quarterback system is going to work out against a defense like the Volunteers.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, Matt.
Not filtered comments. Oh my goodness. Well, before we get back to previewing the Vols versus the Buccaneers, it is time for the injury report of this game, brought to you by Charlie Fernandez. What do you have for us, Charlie?
Thank you, Jeremy. Once again, preseason All-American Jermon McCoy will be out for this week's game with a torn ACL. Tennessee is hopeful he can return later in the month, but will likely be out for next Saturday's contest against the Georgia Bulldogs. Ricky Gibson III left Saturday's game in the second quarter after suffering a left arm injury. Another blow to the secondary means SEC Defensive Player of the Week Colton Hood will get the nod once again at corner after notching 4 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and a fumble recovered for a touchdown. Replacing Gibson will be freshman cornerback Ty Redmond, who worked his way up in camp and earned his spot at corner for Week 2. Vols defensive tackle Jackson Moy, who started against Syracuse, will be out for this week's matchup, also with a left arm injury. Moy, however, is expected to be back soon. Lastly, for the Volunteers, freshman tackle David Sanders Jr. out of Charlotte, North Carolina, is expected to play after missing last week's game against the Orange. Heupel stated he would be shocked if he didn't play, and how if the game were played on Sunday last week, he likely would have been able to start. That's all for the injury report. Back to you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Charlie. Earlier in this episode, we have talked about Tennessee's running back duo of Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis, but Luke Lamberry touched up on it just a quick second. ETSU also has some powerful backs of their own, most notably Khalil Eichelberger and Devontae Houston, who both have combined for 4 rushing touchdowns in that trouncing against Murray State. So if you're the head coach of the Vols or the defensive coordinator, what is your game plan for stopping this ETSU run game?
I think, first of all, great job with the pronunciation, by the way. I don't think I could have done that.
Eichelberger.
That's a strong name. But to your point, I'm going to put myself in Tim Banks' shoes. If I'm Tim Banks, what do we have? What do the Volunteers have to do to stop this run game, like you said? And we've talked poorly about ETSU enough. Let's cut them some credit. Their run game is the strong part of their team, more than their passing game. Their run game is the strong suit of this team. But I think the key for this Tennessee defense is to shut that down pretty early in the game. Because if you can get Cade McNamara throwing in Neyland Stadium with a home crowd early on in the game, he's going to be shaking in his boots. Like, that's a nervous thing to do, having to throw the ball through the air when you got 102,000 fans screaming obscenities at you. But
you can't help but feel for Cade a little bit.
The key is just to stop the run early so that they have to resort to throwing the ball, because it's a lot easier to ground and pound than it is to throw the ball and have some success with that.
I'm sorry. We're talking about Devontae Houston and Khalil Eichelberger.
I mean, okay, you're right. Let's give him some credit. They trounced Murray State. Wow. I mean, it's Murray State. When was Murray State even relevant in football? I mean,
Khalil Eichelberger
has never played the Tennessee Volunteers. Devontae Houston has never played the Tennessee Volunteers. And I'll ask you this. Khalil Eichelberger is a transfer from D2 Grand Valley State University. Does anyone know where Grand Valley State is?
Grand Valley?
Grand Valley. I mean, it's in Michigan, if you were wondering.
Okay.
I have a friend that goes to Michigan.
I'm just saying, look, it's
they have no experience playing any sort of level like this. They played Murray State. Cool. I mean, great job. To me, it's just like you're going to go out there and trounce them in the first quarter, and it's just we're going to see Merklinger and McIntyre by the second.
Both of them?
I don't know.
We're in all three of them?
I don't know. To me, it's just like I don't think there's any doubt in this team's mind that we have nothing to worry about with Devontae Houston or Khalil Eichelberger.
I mean, shoot, get Faison Brandon out there while we're at it. Get him in there early. I mean, no, I'm joking. I feel like we've given ETSU a hard enough time and made enough enemies here on this show. Devontae Houston's got some talent. I mean, he is a guy who transferred from the FBS level. He went to UConn. He is seriously fast, very fast. He's got serious speed and shiftiness. I think it's going to take that discipline that we talked about earlier. All 11 guys have to be swarming the ball. Cornerback, safety, doesn't matter. And you got to push them laterally. Now, do I think the ETSU line stands a chance versus the Tennessee line? No, absolutely not. So it's when he starts to get lateral and when he starts to get going a little bit, or is your second level going to be able to catch up to him?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe I was a little too harsh against him.
I think you were.
I will say I've seen Devontae Houston had a good game against App State last year. Actually it was Aguilar. I mean they played Joey Aguilar in App State. He had a good game against. He had 100.
He's a talented guy. I mean,
but I don't think they have even played this caliber of football yet.
They haven't for sure, but they got some talent. I mean.
I guess they wouldn't be there if they didn't have.
Does Devontae Houston have the guys around him? No. But does he himself have talent? Yeah, he's got some speed. He's got some breakaway speed. He can outrun some of those guys.
I mean, and from the Tennessee side, it goes back to what we talked about earlier in this show. Yes, we're sitting up here talking poorly about ETSU, but if you're Tennessee, you can't. You still have to have the discipline to prepare for this team.
And we talked about this last year because it's the same thing that happened in Syracuse. If you go out there and you put up, let's say, 21 points in the first quarter, and you're like, well, let's just relax the rest of the game. Play football. Let's play some football, and you got to finish the game. And sure, you might throw in some backups, but you can't. Especially if you're Heupel, if you're anybody on that Tennessee Volunteers, you can't let off that gas. Because you're going to have people coming in off the bench that are trying to prove themselves, so they're trying to get themselves some stats up on the board. You can't let go.
It also creates that culture of laziness. So when we're up 14 against Georgia, are we gonna take the gas off?
Set the precedent early.
Yeah, set the precedent. I don't care if it's ETSU. I don't care if it's the national champions Ohio State. I don't care if it's Georgia. Go all out, 100%.
And I feel like we've been a little harsh. I do feel a little bit of.
Do you want to make a public apology?
You know what? I would like to say that I am sorry for being mean, if I was mean to ETSU, but we're still going to win.
Now you're going to come on here next week and you're going to say, I was right about everything. Called it.
You heard me last week. It was all correct. Yeah, no.
All right, Jeremy, what are we looking at?
Yeah, where do we go from here? That is what I'm wanting to ask. Well, we have talked a lot about Cade McNamara. We've talked about the running back duo. And if you watched ETSU last week against Murray State, they are no easy task. They are ranked top 25 in the FCS coaches poll. So who else are we going to have to look out for in this game against the Volunteers?
I'm going to go with Cade Buddy. I'm going to go with Jacoby Criswell, the other quarterback. We talked about it a little bit earlier. They do run that 2-quarterback system. Things get a little funky in this game. For ETSU to stay in it, maybe put up some points, they're going to have to get something random going on. Maybe Criswell with a long scramble, maybe him with a random trick play touchdown pass. He's going to have to make something shake. He had 34 passing yards last week, and he had 46 rushing yards last week. So he can do a little bit of everything. He might be a gadget guy that the Vols aren't necessarily looking out for. When they start falling asleep again, when they start being undisciplined, when they put up a couple touchdowns, are they going to be able to keep track of them?
And this week in preparation, when the Vols are looking forward to this game, it's just another thing to prepare for.
100%.
We've said our piece on whether we think it's going to work or not for ETSU, but if you're Josh Heupel and the Tennessee defense, that's just another factor to prepare for. And so, again, we talk about that discipline. You've just got to be ready for it. I'm with you. I think Jacoby Criswell is going to be the guy to look out for on this team as a sneaky playmaker.
And he's experienced too. I mean,
yeah.
Going to his 6th year, and he started last year a lot of games for UNC. So he's played at the Power 4 level.
Oh, yeah.
I'll agree with you that they're both experienced quarterbacks. I don't think we look at Criswell here. I think it's McNamara. I mean, he's got the experience to lead a team. He knows how to lead a team, whether it's the caliber of a team like Michigan or if it's ETSU. He knows how to lead a team, and that is something that I don't think really anyone on this Tennessee team has is that level of experience.
Well, college football has a wide history of FCS over FBS upsets, and I have no doubt in my mind that ETSU as a football program, their talented players, and their fan base, they are hungry for an upset this weekend in Neyland Stadium. Well, when we come back, you'll see a few different faces here at the desk as Jordan Smitherman leads the discussion on fraudulent foes within the SEC. And we dive headfirst into soccer and volleyball. And after that, we'll be back here to share our picks for this Saturday's game and our final thoughts. Before then, Taylor Langford is taking to the streets to see if students know ETSU's mascot. We'll see you soon.
Taking a pet walkway to see if people can name their mascot. Let's go. We play East Tennessee State University in the home opener on Saturday. Can you name the mascot?
Wait, a tiger, right?
So
ETSU?
close. Yeah, and not a tiger though. Close.
Wait, a lion?
I have no idea. Is it not just Buckeye?
All right, fellas, do you know which school mascot that is? No idea. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers?
We play East Tennessee State University in the home opener this week. Can you name the mascot?
Of East Tennessee State? No.
Any guesses?
I don't know. Woodchuck?
Do you know which school logo this is?
Is that Charleston?
Not quite.
Is it a Carolina school?
No, no, no.
You know their colors are like blue and yellow, I want to say.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
Buccaneer?
Yeah, there you go.
A buccaneer. So close, so close. Buccaneers? Buccaneers. There we go.
I'm Jordan Smitherman here with Jack Glennon, Sophie Starkey, and Chance Jones. We'll be jumping into soccer and volleyball, but first we're going to recap the first games of a handful of Tennessee's rivals within the SEC and how their first games went. This is Fraudulent Foes, where we'll be comparing Tennessee to other SEC teams that have appeared fraudulent after the first week. Chance, the team in Tuscaloosa seems to be stressing just a little bit after their loss to Florida State. Is it time for Alabama and Neyland DeBoer to hit the panic button?
I'm going to say yes and no. I think if you want to freak out about the fact that Nick Saban is no longer here and you're just going to have to get used to the fact that you are no longer a dynasty if you are Alabama, you could panic a little bit on that if you want to. I think there were some struggles on the field offensively for them. Alabama only rushed for 87 total yards, and their junior quarterback, Ty Simpson, threw for 254 yards and 2 touchdowns, which that doesn't sound like a bad stat line until you read he went 23 for 43 on his completions. That's not very good. That's not very accurate. I think when the third Saturday in October rolls around, the Tennessee defense is going to have a field day because they are a defense that is very physical, very aggressive. They find ways to make plays and make turnovers. I think if you want to panic about the culture in Alabama, I think that's perfectly reasonable. Neyland DeBoer I think he's a large reason why Alabama is experiencing a downfall right now. I think he's far too relaxed for what Alabama's used to. Nick Saban was strictly business, and now there's Alabama players warming up with their phones in their hands on the field. They're doing dances, lining up for snaps. Nick Saban would never have allowed that. It's blasphemy, if you will.
So you're saying the Saban standard is gone?
The Saban standard is gone. Neyland DeBoer has, I won't say tarnished the legacy of Alabama, but it's getting pretty close if this continues. Nick Saban had 4 unranked losses against 4 unranked losses in his 17 seasons as an Alabama head coach. Neyland DeBoer has done that in 14 games. That's not very good. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's not very good. I think when you look at the comparisons, I won't compare DeBoer's first season to Heupel's first season at Tennessee. Oh, no. DeBoer inherited a team fresh off a Rose Bowl appearance, and Heupel inherited a team that went 3-7 the previous year. We're not going to look at that. I want to look at the culture. When you look at DeBoer, we talked about it, the phones during warm-ups, the dances on the sidelines, on the line of scrimmage. You don't see that with the Tennessee team. They work hard, they win. Heupel knows nobody's bigger than the program. The good vibes that surround your team come from pushing harder to be better every week. The good vibes come from winning. You don't show up with good vibes because you were good in the past. I think Heupel has the clear advantage over DeBoer any day of the week.
I could not disagree with you more, Chance Jones, and I'll tell you why. Look, Neyland DeBoer,
28 games in Washington, 2 seasons. Had 2 losses in the regular season, and one of them was to a UCLA team that finished ranked 21st in the final coaches poll. A very competitive Pac-12 in which the Washington Huskies were very lacking the previous couple seasons. He won the Pac-12 championship in just his second season, in a Pac-12 that had 5 top 25 teams in the preseason poll. He took them to the national championship, albeit, yes, he had Michael Penix, yes, he had Rome Odunze, and a fantastic defense at that. But Rome wasn't built in a day. It's the beginning of his second season. He played a good program in Florida State that's trying to come back from a tough season. It wasn't built in a day. I think he'll be just fine. It's going to take a minute.
But also, this is Alabama.
Yeah, I'm not.
Could have stayed at Washington and become a legend, but he decided to come to Alabama and take on the impossible, basically.
And I think he should have stayed there, but now he's here, so he's got to make the most of it, and it's going to take some time. That's my
Go ahead, Chance.
I'm not saying you should freak out and fire him. I think you just have to come to the realization he's not Nick Saban. There will never be another Nick Saban. He was one of a kind. I think that's just the reality of the situation.
And it's unfair for them to expect him to be Nick Saban because, like you said, Nick Saban is completely in a league of his own.
Yeah. Okay. Jack, Arch Manning and Texas had an unimpressive start to their season against Ohio State. Can they rebound from this?
Can they? Absolutely they can. Any team can rebound from a first loss to start the season, but will they? It's far too soon to know. There's nothing wrong with losing to the defending champs by 7 points, but that's 14-7 final score does not tell the whole story. So does Arch Manning's stat line. 17 of 30, 170 yards, a touchdown and a pick. I think personally he played a lot worse than that stat line might represent. There's 2 or 3 other balls that I thought should have been intercepted. But here's the positive for Texas. Here's why they can make a comeback. Here's why they can turn their season around. That run game, even after losing Jaden Blue in the 5th round of that past draft of the Dallas Cowboys, is still strong. Quintravion Wisner had 1,000 yards last year, a career 4.8 yards per carry, and this past week against Ohio State, which is a very tough defense, averaged 4.62 yards per carry as a running back room. So how to bounce back for Texas, rely on your defense. They only gave up 14 to the defending champs, but use that run game. Take the pressure off Arch Manning. You got a good O-line, you got a good run game. Use it, take the pressure off him, and it'll open up things for him far more down the road.
Jack, do you think at all any of that had to do with emotional pressure or pressure of the Manning name, all of the NIL deals he was getting of, oh, I've played here before, you know, coming in a couple times previous seasons to fill in for their other quarterback. Do you think any of that was just his emotional pressure, stressing out, then performing well? Because he has the skill. He's proved it in a couple games. It's a new setting. He's now stepping up as the starting quarterback. Do you think any of that is because of the social pressure he's feeling?
Great point.
I hadn't thought of that. That's actually a very good perspective, and it totally could be because, like you said, he's carrying that Manning name. Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, their father as well. All great NFL talents, not just college, and also the pressure that comes with being the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. Are you kidding me? Playing the defending national champions in week 1?
Fresh off a college football playoff berth, too.
Yes, absolutely a lot of pressure. Absolutely.
Okay, Sophie, Georgia did come away victorious in week 1. How does their performance compare to the Vols' week 1 performance?
Now, Georgia is always going to be a threat. You never underestimate Kirby Smart, ever. But we see Georgia going up against Marshall, not the best team out there. They beat them 45-7. Notice that number? Does that sound familiar? The Vols, or they put up 45. The Vols put up 45 points as well. So what we're seeing here is Georgia playing Marshall, and their offensive momentum is producing the same as Tennessee, who plays Syracuse, not a bad team at all, in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, a huge, well-known, well-regarded stadium. But that's not even the biggest thing Georgia had to prove during this game. This was their quarterback debut. They had a similar situation that Tennessee had with Carson Beck leaving with 1 year of eligibility left. So they come out here with Gunnar Stockton.
He's played before, though.
Say again.
Gunnar Stockton has played before, though, for the Bulls.
Yes.
Limited.
Yes,
yeah,
but he's
very limited, though.
Very limited, but he's coming in as their starting quarterback. He's coming. He's got to prove that point, carry that mantle, like Carson Beck did. And there's a lot of questions about Georgia coming through because how are they going to rebuild? What's going to happen? Never doubt Kirby Smart. But they were facing those allegations, and Gunnar Stockton comes out with 190 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 73 rushing yards. And that 73 stands out to me because that means he's running a lot rather than relying on the pass game. Whereas you have Aguilar coming out here throwing 247 yards, and he utilized several weapons, as the guys were telling us earlier this season. But Gunnar was running a lot against Marshall. that defense allowed those open pockets for him to run through. When they get to a team like an SEC team, he's not going to have that advantage. And Georgia plays Marshall, Austin Peay, then Tennessee. So everyone's like, Tennessee has got Georgia big game 3. Tennessee's their biggest match that they're going to face yet. They're not getting that test that we had against Syracuse. They're going up against us third, and I think we might give them a little bit of a run for their money because they're not looking as scary right now as they have looked in the past.
Sophie, if I can ask you, sorry, 1 second, Jordan, if I could ask you, with Gunnar Stockton, you saw how he ran against Marshall. You mentioned it, 73 rushing yards. Would it be an overreaction for Tennessee to put a quarterback spy or trying to key in on his running game or try to protect the pass?
I don't think that would be an overreaction at all because especially if he plays like that against Austin Peay, they're going to see, okay, this is what this guy leans to. When he gets stressed out, when there's no option, he's going to run, kind of like Nico did, and that resulted in some bad plays. So we absolutely could put a spy out on him and nip that in the bud before he even gets anything rolling. Now, Tennessee's defense is top in the country for a reason. He might not even get that opportunity given we put a spy on him or not, but I don't think that's an overreaction at all.
Georgia always performs better later in the season as well, rather than the beginning of the season, so that can give Tennessee more of a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Now let's give some attention to the Lady Vols teams who have been putting on some steam. Chance, give us an update on the Lady Vols volleyball team.
Yeah, the Lady Vols, actually, they're playing just across the street from our studio right now, although they're probably just about wrapped up right now. They're playing, who did I see here? I'm so sorry. Give me just a second.
Chance.
I know.
Chance.
Too many stats.
He's on football mode.
Football mode is killing me right now. They lost last Sunday against Purdue 3-1. Sophomore Peyton Chapman is leading the team's offense with 36 kills so far this season. They've got some star power breaking out right now. Love to see stuff like that. They're playing Samford right now. There, I found it. I found the team. They've actually got another match tonight at 7 against Winthrop. So lots happening in this already pretty early Lady Vols volleyball season.
Pretty busy time right now for them. Sophie, the Lady Vols team, last time you brought them up, were undefeated. Is that still the case?
Unfortunately, it is not still the case. They did tie last night against Memphis, but Memphis is not a bad team at all. They were number 14, and they had beat several SEC teams, including Auburn, before facing Tennessee. So they tied that game. It's not a win, it's not a loss, but they did continue their streak earlier in the week, posted 5 consecutive shutouts. They beat Western Carolina 3-0, and you've got to give some credit to their goalie, Kaden Norris, who had 12 saves so far this season. She's the last line of defense, and I'd be pretty scared going up against her because she's not letting anything past her.
Baller.
Even though they tied against Memphis, they tied 0-0. There has been no shot on a Tennessee goal so far this season. Phenomenal performance by them against a hard team. Memphis by no means was an easy opponent. Now, they do actually have a home game coming up on Sunday at 1 p.m. They've had a couple away games, so go out there and support them as they take on Georgia Southern this Sunday.
Well, that's all from us. Stay tuned till after the break to catch back up with the football crew for final thoughts and game picks. But for more soccer, stick around. Our Lauren Gempler went down to the Student Union to see if students are up to date on soccer.
I'm Lauren Gempler here in the Student Union, and we're asking Tennessee students what they know about Lady Vols soccer. Do y'all know how many points Lady Vols soccer team has allowed so far this season?
Not a lot.
I'm gonna say like 8. Okay.
I'm gonna say 5.
Okay. They haven't allowed any goals, so 0. Do you know what the Lady Vols soccer team is ranked right now?
12th, 6th, or 7th.
6, 7? Do you know how many goals they have allowed this season so far?
2.
0.
0.
No way.
Do you know what the Lady Vols soccer team is ranked?
No. I'm going to say number 1.
Very close.
2?
2. Do you know the number 1 team that they beat at the beginning of the season?
No. Can I have a hint?
Their color is blue.
North Carolina? North Carolina! North Carolina!
Good job. Good. Do you know how many goals that they have allowed this season?
Like 3.
Lower.
2.
Lower.
1.
0.
That's gonna be my 4th.
Do you know the number 1 team that they beat at the beginning of the season?
Stanford.
Do you know what the Lady Vols soccer team is ranked?
We gotta be number 1, right?
Close.
2.
2. How many points have the Lady Vols allowed this season so far?
Like to be scored against them? Like 0?
Yeah. And that was Lady Vols soccer trivia. Thanks for watching. Lauren Gempler, Torch Sports.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. We are just about to wrap this up, but before we do, let's get everybody's game picks and final thoughts before the Tennessee Volunteers and the ETSU Buccaneers square off tomorrow in Neyland Stadium. Patrick, kick us off.
Yeah, the Buccaneers are just outmatched. I'll give them a field goal, but I'm going with the home team 63-3. Name of the game, discipline.
I love the discipline. I agree with the discipline part. I'm also going to take the Vols in this one. I'm going to do a little bit less of a margin, though. I'm going to go 50-14, but I think this is going to be an Aguilar showcase here. I think first game in Neyland might start a little shaky, but he's going to find his stride, and it's going to be the way we expect it to go.
I'm close to you, Luke. I'm going to go 49-13. It's around the same area, but I think the Vols get out early. ETSU might get a little bit of a catch up, but not too much for the Volunteers. Kind of stop. Push them back down. I didn't want to be too aggressive there.
Yeah, I believe I'm going to go on the same route as you all. I'm going to go with the Vols 56-10. Not really much to see out of it other than that Tennessee is going to have a field day tomorrow. Joey Aguilar is going to shine once again, and don't be surprised one bit if we see someone coming off the bench like a Jake Merklinger, a George McIntyre. They're definitely going to shine in this game as well, probably. Well, that is our picks here at the desk. Let's send it back to Alexi Cowan at Neyland Stadium.
Okay, my pick, I think it's going to be a really good game. Of course, I think Tennessee will probably take it in the end, especially since it's the first home game. But I don't think it'll be as big of a margin as we think. I think ETSU will play pretty good. You know, they have a good crowd that can come support them just about an hour and a half away. Give me Tennessee, let's say 30-14.
That is a great pick, Alexi. Thank you very much. And before we close this out, let's send it back to Lucas and Zach for their game picks.
You know, Jeremy, I think we're all in agreement here. I think I'm going to have to take Tennessee. I mean, even though ETSU...
Are we sure?
I think I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Even though ETSU has a quarterback that actually played in a playoff game with Michigan against TCU a couple years back, I just think, you know, the Vols will crush them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they took the first game with Syracuse. Alabama can tell you that first game is not guaranteed, but that's in the past. They're looking forward. It's first game at Neyland Stadium, back at home. ETSU, I mean, they're going to come to play, but they won't match up to Tennessee's offense and their defense. I think that's a deadly combo. Give me Tennessee 51-10. I think they'll be able to put up at least 10 points, but I think the Tennessee will hold them pretty much the most of the game. That's my pick.
Thank you very much, guys. One thing is for sure, that environment in Neyland Stadium, it's going to get rowdy. 102,000 people, and especially with it being an in-state school coming in. They're just from 2 hours up the road in Johnson City. ETSU is going to be making it out to this game, make for an awesome first game day environment inside of Neyland Stadium for 2025. Well, thank you all once again for joining us for another edition of Torch Sports. Join us again next week as we recap this game and look forward to the SEC opener against the Georgia Bulldogs. And before you go, please do us a favor and give Torch Sports a follow everywhere you use social media. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Torch Sports UTK and on X at Torch Sports_UTK for all your latest sports coverage across the UT campus. That will do it for us today. For Patrick Falcon, Luke Attal, Luke Lamry, and everybody else here at TVC, I'm Jeremy Knopf II. Thank you all for joining us again today. Enjoy the game this weekend. We'll see you next time. And that was Torch Sports.